I'd like to wish all of you a very blessed Thursday. It's good to be together again. It's hard to believe it's been like 3 months, and I cherish these moments. And I don't think it'll be too long before we can be together again in here. But in the meantime, I feel a good connection, and thank you for your patience, your understanding, your support for all this. I'm certainly learning more about the Bible, and thanks to the team that kind of helps put this together. There's a passage in 1 John which really resonates to me. It's 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. I've done a lot of reflecting over what religion and spirituality mean and what the church means and stands for. And if there is one thing that certainly fuels my fire every single day, one thing that excites me just to walk up the sidewalk to the church and put the key in the door and to have moments with you or with anybody throughout all these years, it's my firm belief that religion, and I've said this many times, ultimately is not about going to church. Religion is about our heart and our soul and the way we choose to walk each day. We have talked a lot in the last week to 10 days about injustice. And we've talked a lot about some of the things in our world that have to change. We've talked a lot about how this virus has turned our world upside down. And in the middle of all this, we've stepped back and we've discovered what is at the heart and soul of who you are and who I am. And I realize that the heart and soul of the church, the heart and soul of true spirituality, is the way we choose to walk and the way we choose to love and to reach out to other people. And when all the marches are done, when all the words have been said, I guess the question I have to ask myself is, what can I do? What can you do to make the world a more just and a better place? What can you do and what can I do to help people whose world has been turned upside down in the last 3 months? What can we do to reach out and help people turn the world back up the way it should be? And I guess I kind of look to Jesus, because Jesus is kind of the universal man, because Jesus had this capacity to step back and look at anybody in the eye, and he was able to see inside their heart, inside their soul, inside their spirit, and make each person feel special. And I guess that's what Jesus calls us to do, is that we need to look at people and just look at what's inside. What is it that makes you, you, and me, and listen to that, and try to do whatever we can, not just in word, but in deed, in the way we treat each other. Every day when I'm thinking and talking to you, I always have a tendency to think about one other person. And there was a friend of mine named Carrie, who was a very proud Vietnam vet, and I had a chance to become his friend. I also did his funeral. But I remember I was talking to him about his experience in Vietnam, and he was saying something about, because he had a lot of flashbacks to his experience. And I said, so he was talking to me, and I said, I understand, Carrie. And he said, no, you don't. He looked at me and said, you do not understand, because you didn't walk in my shoes. You didn't serve in the military. You didn't look death and life in the face like I had to do. And then he walked out the door. And I realized he was right. I didn't understand. And I don't think any of us can totally understand another person's journey. None of us really walk in anybody else's shoes except our own. But Carrie taught me in his insane humanity to listen more, to not pretend that I know what someone else is going through. And we became really close friends. But he taught me a lot, because all we can do each day is to be patient enough and kind enough to listen to the heartbeat and the soul of somebody else. Those of you who know me know that over the years I've read a lot of poetry from little Maddie Stepanek. Maddie died at the age of 13, and he died several years ago. But somehow, some way, he always was in a wheelchair, always on a ventilator, always needed oxygen. But somehow, some way, he was able, in his childlike innocence, to capture the beauty and the power of the human spirit. And there, one of the poems he wrote went something like this. He said, my body may have different abilities than yours, and I may be on a ventilator, and I may have a trach, but I will always be happy, because I will always be me. I've thought about those words so much, especially over the last 2 or 3 months. I will always be happy, because I will always be me. I'm me, and you are you, and we just see the incredible diversity out there of the human spirit. And my hope and my prayer is that somehow, some way, in the midst of all this, we can come together, and ultimately, the world can be a safer and more peaceful place, because people like you and I, we deeply care about each other. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. God bless, and we will be in touch tomorrow. Thanks.